What's good, everyone? This is your host, TARODCAST, and you are now tuned into TARODCAST. For all of the brand new listeners out there listening to our show for the very first time, welcome. For all of the returning listeners coming back for another weekly dose of awesome TARODCAST conversation, welcome back. Now at TARODCAST, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we are doing that, then we are doing our job. Today's episode comes from a video that I watched years ago. It was a performance art piece that really stuck with me, and it really showed me how humanity, how us as humans as a whole are not innately good people. So I want to talk about that. So without further ado, today's episode topic is all you need is a little permission. This is TARODCAST. Let's get it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to TARODCAST. Again, I'm your host, TARODCAST, and today it is actually Veterans Day, and I want to take just a few moments just to honor and respect those who have been in the service, those who are currently out of the service, and those who have died while in service. To all of the veterans out there, the ones that I do know, the ones that I don't know, even the ones who are currently and actively participating on a tour or are currently deployed right now, thank you. I appreciate what you have done and continue to do for this country to give us the freedoms that we have, a lot of the freedoms that many of us take for granted. And so I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for choosing to serve this country in the capacity that you do. So with that being said, I want to talk about this topic because it's been one that's been in my head for a while. And it's one that it's very personal because it was a very huge wake up call as far as how many of us regular human beings think that innately we're good people, but all you need is a little permission. And then when it comes to the things inside of you that you never had the opportunity to act on, you'll act on them. And a lot of people do that. And it's very astonishing to think about what we are capable of doing to one another if given the permission. So before we get into that, as always, we're going to go ahead and take care of our housekeeping details. So if you would like to take our show with you on the go, just know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Podchaser, Castbox, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and YouTube. TARODCAST is on Throne. Throne is a free live messaging application that allows us here at TARODCAST to exclusively reach our listeners. Make sure to sign up if you'd like to keep the conversations going after the episode. If you're looking for natural oils for ultimate hydration and care for your hair and skin, hit up The Resilient Lotus at www.theresilientlotus.com. If you are a lover of authentic, chunky salsas, make sure to reach out to Morinitas Salsitas at www.certain-t.com/Morinitas-Salsitas. And last but not least, if you are in the market for an affordable graphic designer to create your next logo, flyer, album cover, or animated video, check out at Rose Graphism on Instagram. As always, all of this information will be in our episode notes. All right, so we're going to talk about why this episode is titled the way that it is. And the video that inspired this it's from a performance artist. Her name is Marina Abramovic, and she is a Yugoslavian performance artist. And she's one of those people where she does not mind going to the extreme in order to convey a message, in order to create art using her body. And the video that I'm going to be referencing throughout this podcast, I'm going to make sure to put in the show notes, because it actually talks about her recounting of the experience that we're going to be covering today. And so this video is a video that I saw a few years back, and it really stuck with me, because it showed me a very, very grim truth about us as humans, about humanity as a whole. And so just to talk about the video, and of course, if you want to see it, make sure to check the episode notes for the link, and you can watch it or watch parts of it, and as well as her recounting of it yourself. Now, in this experiment, she stood in a gallery, and basically she said for 6 hours, and I'm just paraphrasing, you can do anything that you want to me. And she laid out on a table 72 different items, and she said for the next 6 hours, anything that is done to me, I take responsibility for. And her mindset behind this was just wanting to see how far humans would go if given the permission to go the lengths that they never had the opportunity to go. So among some of the items there were like a rose, there was like a feather tickler, there was, there were some harmless objects on there. But also on that table were things like a razor. There was also what else was on there? There was a bullet and a gun. Like somebody could actually load the gun, and there were items that didn't cause harm, basically, and items that, if wielded, could cause harm. And so when I watched the video the first time and saw her talking about, she was saying that for the first couple of hours, people didn't really do much to her. They gave her hugs. They, just kind of repositioned her, turned her around. Some people, touched her, gave her a kiss, things like that, and she was standing up this entire time. But basically people had the free reign to, position her however they wanted. And so as time went on, there began to be a more, a more sinister presence began to fill the room, as she then began to have her clothes cut off of her, and someone took the razor and made a cut on her neck, and people then began to pick her up, and they laid her on the table and took her off, and they sat her down, and people began to grope her, and they began to take some of the objects and then put them on and also in her body. And there was a point where one person took the gun and loaded it and made her hold it and wanted to see if she would shoot herself. And the way that took a turn, it really shocked me. And at the end of the 6 hour period, what Marina did was she got up and she walked amongst the people that were in that room, occupying that room with her. And the crazy thing about it is that no one, absolutely no one, wanted to look at her. No one wanted to come to terms with what they did to her, especially the ones who did things to her in a harassing way, or a violent way, or an abusive way. Like, People were scared to interact with her, to come to understanding of what it is that they did to her, because for a moment she allowed herself to be the object in this performance piece. And when she ceased being the object and then became human again, people did not want anything to do with that. They could not look at her. People turned away. People walked away. People they just did not want to face what they were ultimately responsible for. And just looking at that and then listening to her account and also reading other people's accounts of what they witnessed during that time, during that 6-hour period, it really showed that for people, a lot of people who think they're good, normal people, they have these desires, or they have these urges or impulses that they never get to actively act on. And when given the permission to do so, they will. Because if there is no consequence, if there is no repercussion that happens after you do what you've always wanted to do, then you're more than likely going to want to do it, because you know that you'll get away with it. And for the people in that room, the people in that gallery, the ones who took those objects and started to abuse her, those were the main ones that could not face her. They couldn't. And this type of piece, when I watched it for the first time, it really hit me in the emotions, because I was watching the people. I was watching, and it's a big group of people in there, and they, like, the way it started off, it was very tame. There wasn't much that looked like it was going to, escalate further. But all it took was one person to do something violent to her, to do something demeaning to her. And then the group realized that, oh, we can do that. They realized that, oh, we can do these things to her. We can really, like, truly and freely manipulate her within this time limit. And she said, nothing will happen. I will take full responsibility of anything that happens during this 6-hour period. And people started just going crazy with her. And that really hit me. Because as humans, as people, there are a lot of things that we don't even realize that we are even capable of. There are a lot of things that we don't even take the time to truly get introspective about and realize about ourselves. I have an episode talking about this, that I did a while back, called The Dark Side Has Cookies. And in that episode, I'm talking specifically about understanding that dark side of yourself, that shadow self that we all have. I have it too. And understanding that and coming to peace and coming to terms with that is what truly allows you to be a full person, a person who can understand the pieces of yourself that other people wouldn't even know upon looking at you or interacting with you. And when I think about this as a concept, it brings to my realization the fact that a lot of people do not take time to understand themselves or to understand others in the way that truly matters, because there are dark sides to all of us. There are things that all of us would potentially do if given the permission to do so. And when we understand that, we also gain more self-control. We gain more self-sufficiency. We have more agency over ourselves. And that is truly and ultimately what we all need. Because the majority of us, we do not take time to truly dive deep into our own minds and try and understand the parts of us that are dark, the parts of us that are weird, the parts of us that are unconventional. Because in this world, we're always having to put our best foot forward. We're always having to put our best face forward. And very rarely does anybody have an opportunity to learn, to understand, or to accept the darker side of us that we don't share with people. Not a lot of people get that opportunity, because sometimes, and some of us could potentially be so dark and twisted that it scares people away. I was listening to the Hot Boxing podcast with Mike Tyson. He was talking to Lil Boosie. It was an awesome show. I loved everything about it. And it made me have a respect for Mike Tyson that I did not know that I needed. I didn't know that was going to be something I got from it. But in that episode, aside from all of the sneak disses and the blatant disses he was, putting towards Boosie, who just wasn't understanding, what he was talking about, because, Mike Tyson is a legendary boxer who is still alive, but he can tell his story. And one of the things that he said was, there's a lot of things about me that are dark and scary. There are things about me that I have to live with. And there are things about himself that he does not like about himself. The deep, dark things that could potentially and possibly inevitably push people away if they were to ever learn about those things. And the thing is, I understand where he's coming from when he says that. I understand what he's talking about when he says that, because Mike Tyson, if you know who he is, you know that he is a man who has been perpetually filled with his own personal demons. A lot of those personal demons have been on display for everyone to see. And he has to live within himself with those demons. But when I listened to what he was saying, the sense of understanding and peace, even though it still gives him discomfort, the sense of understanding and peace that he was able to provide within himself, with that understanding, it was something that it spoke volumes, because so many people don't even know what that is. So many people won't even get to that level. And because a lot of people won't take the necessary steps to invite themselves within themselves and see what's going on in their minds, it will lead to behaviors that will become fully apparent when given the permission to do so without any consequence. So with that being said, we're going to talk more about this, and I'm just, we're going to talk about everyone. We're going to talk about everyone, and we're going to do that after our break. So I hope that you have your water close by. Go ahead and take a drink of that, and we will be right back. This is TARODCAST. Yo, what's good, everyone? This is your host of TARODCAST, Tarod Rashan, and I just want to welcome you to the commercial break. Now, you already know what time it is. It's hydration time. Get some high-quality H2O in your system now. Got a few things I'd like to go over. First, to all of our new and returning listeners, thank you so much for your ear and your time. To all of our Patreon supporters, I just want you to know that we are not able to do this without your direct support. So the biggest, dopest TARODCAST thank you goes out to you. If you're listening in and you're thinking about becoming part of the TARODCAST Patreon family, we'd love to have you. You can find us at www.patreon.com/TARODCAST. Now on Patreon, we have 3 tiers of support. A $2 tier, a $3 tier, and lastly, a $6 tier. Each tier comes with its own set of unique perks, so if you find one that fits you, sign up. For us, the main thing is keeping our subscription prices affordable. We know that you work hard for your money, and if you choose to support TARODCAST this way, we truly want to make it worth your time. To find out more about our Patreon and the perks with each tier, visit www.patreon.com/TARODCAST. We've got it all laid out for you. Also, we've got a merchandise store. Pick up some tees, hoodies, leggings, and more at forevercertain.redbubble.com. All proceeds go right back into the TARODCAST podcast and allow us to keep making high quality content for people just like you. For our listeners out there who would like to support us in a non-monetary way, we'd love that too. Share our show with people you know. Also, share us on your social media. And if your favorite TARODCAST streaming service allows you to rate and review our show and you're loving what you're hearing, take some time and leave us a 5-star review. Ratings and reviews are what set us apart from other podcasts and also helps us to recommend our podcast to other listeners we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, email us at TARODCAST@CRTN-T.com. That's TARODCAST@CRTN-T.com. All of this information can always be found in our episode notes, so make sure to check there if you forget any of the information we just went over. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the program. All right, y'all, welcome back. I hope that you all got hydrated. We are going to go ahead and continue with the show. This is TARODCAST, and I am your host, Tarod Rashan. So let's go ahead and get back into it. Now, so one of the things that I really picked up is the fact that we see this type of behavior in so many different situations. Like, you know, if you're at the club and 2 people begin fighting, you know, a fight breaks out, and then all of a sudden, you know, more people jump in, or, you know, you go somewhere and you see someone doing something in a crowd, and all of a sudden the crowd begins to also do what that person is doing. I mean, you know, just different situations where groups of people are, you know, they're participating in one way, and then one person or a couple of people, you know, do something that is opposite of what the crowd is doing, and then the crowd in turn begins to also engage with what the 2 people were doing. You know, this is something that we see all the time. And when it comes to things like this, again, all you need is a little permission, because many of us, like I was saying before, many of us do not take the time to really discover ourselves. We don't take the time to take a good hard look at who we are and determine what it is that we're actually capable of doing and being. And so because of that, we are the type of people that we are very easily influenced. We're very easily manipulated. And because the majority of us are that way, it does not take much. All we need is to see one person doing something, and then all of a sudden we now have the permission to do that or more or worse than what that initial person did. And because of that, you know, and this might sound very controversial, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway. I have more respect for the person who does not care and decides to do something than the people that follow after that person and do more or do worse than what that initial person did. Because it also shows that the majority of the world are followers. The majority of people are followers. And what we need is that little push, that little nudge, that action that grants us the permission to do something, and the rest of the crowd will follow suit. And that is a trait that it will inevitably capture about 98% of people who believe that they're good and normal people. And so this begs us to ask the question, are we really good people? Those of us who are normal, regular, everyday people, are we really good people? Do we really believe that we are good people? Because if all it takes is one person doing something that it's somewhere in our minds, it resonates within us, and we're like, oh, maybe I can do that too. I'm gonna do that. Are we really good people? Are we? Because one of the things that I have grown to realize in my adult years, especially after having many conversations with my wife, is the fact that none of us are innately good, but also none of us are innately bad, but the majority of us are followers. And that's the thing that really sums up this entire concept, because all it takes is one person doing something, one person being that maverick, or one person being that person who just simply doesn't care. It just takes that one person to inspire the rest of the group to act in the way that one person acted. And in many ways, we as people are innately destructive. You know, think about as we grow up, you know, from kids to teenagers, and from teenagers to adults. One of the things that really frames our growth and our upbringing is the fact that with kids, they make messes, they break things, they throw tantrums, you know, they're loud, they have no regard for what it is they're doing or who they potentially may be affecting. And this is something that it's primal, because we are innately curious, and we want to see what it is that we can get away with. And I'm even seeing this, you know, or I've seen this with my own daughter, as a matter of fact. And just watching her and the things that she has done. You know, she's taken crayons and drawn on things, or she's accidentally broken things, or, you know, she's put stuff on the walls and, you know, things like that. And for her, you know, her curiosity is what is leading her, because again, she's new to this world. So everything to her is something worth exploring. And as a parent, it's up to us to guide her the best way that we can, and to make sure that her curiosity develops into something that is healthy and not destructive. Well, for the majority of humans on this planet, that curiosity is something that is born from a sense of repression. Because many people have thoughts, many people have desires, many people have things that they never had the opportunity to act on. And because of that, there are pieces of their minds that hold this information. And when they reach an opportunity to act on this information, They look for something that is going to reassure them that what they're doing is not going to have reprimand. It's not going to get them in trouble. And when they find that, when they see that, then they will act on that. And they will do it without thinking, because it is at that point fulfilling a desire that has long since been asleep. And because of that, they now feel as if in this moment they are invincible, they are untouchable. They do not have to worry when doing this action or performing this action. And the unfortunate thing about it is that many of those actions that are asleep in our minds, that we do not put the time and effort into discovering, accepting, and quelling, many of those things are destructive. And as humans, we've seen it all throughout history, because if anything, all of the different wars, all of the fights, the riots, the massacres, all of these things, they come from a place in our minds where, for us, these are feelings that we have yet to address, feelings that we have yet to come to terms with. And when given the opportunity, whatever opportunity that may be that presents itself, when we actually reach that point, we are going to act on those feelings. We are going to basically bust the door wide open and go all the way out in order to provide that satisfaction that we need, in order to provide calm to those feelings, to give those feelings the nourishment that they need. Because again, so many of us are repressed in many, many different ways. And because of that, this is what leads to us being destructive in ways that we didn't even imagine in our own minds until we found ourselves in that moment. I think about the people who participated in that performance art piece. And I think about the fact that many of them were sadistic. Many of them saw this as their opportunity to act on desires that they have always held within them, but were too scared to confront within themselves. And when given the opportunity to do anything that they wanted to this woman who presented herself as an object for them to consume, it only took a couple of hours, but they consumed her in so many different ways. But the thing about it is that because those people did not, or they do not possess the mental fortitude to look and to reach inside themselves and to discover those dark parts within them, they will always be led to participating in destructive behaviors. They don't understand the dark parts of themselves. They haven't made peace with those parts of themselves. They haven't done that. And because they haven't done that, they will what's the word I'm looking for? They will be unselfish in how they display their own repression, which takes the form of destructive and sadistic desires that can be performed on another human being. Now, I want to also say this as well, because I'm not saying this as, I don't want to correlate this to those who have, specific, like sexual kinks or anything like that, because I feel like that is an entirely different realm, and that is a very intimate realm as well. And there's a lot of trust and understanding that comes with that when it comes to, those types of things. But what I'm more so talking about is our propensity towards destruction, and the fact that a lot of us are not people who want to build, but we want to destroy. And this particular piece is something that showed that to me fully. It really did. It really did. And when it showed me that, it really made me think about myself. And it really made me want to be honest with myself. Because for the majority of my life, I believed that I was an innately good person. Especially when I was into religion, I was a Christian and things like that. Like, I really believed that I was a good person. But when it came to the things that I thought about, when it came to just growing up and going through puberty and hormones and, just growing and understanding my own body and things like that, I had the same desires like any other, adolescent or teenage boy would have. And I really tried to pretend like I was different, but I wasn't. And for me, trying to do everything I could to hide behind that mask of being the good Christian boy, it stifled me in many different ways, because, I am now, as a grown man, learning things that could have given me more of an opportunity to truly grow had I actually just learned these things earlier. It would have given me an opportunity to really see the world and to really look at people the way that they are, had I actually experienced these things earlier. And so for me, I have to live with that. I know that I also have a dark side. I know that throughout the course of my life, I have truly hurt people. And this is something that I have to take the responsibility for. Because when I think about that piece that Marina Abramovic, I'm trying to pronounce her name correctly. When I think about that, the fact that when everything was said and done and she walked amongst everyone, people could not face her. And the reason they couldn't is because if they looked at her and they saw what they did to her, if they saw the cut that they made, if they saw the things that they put in her body, if they saw the way or the parts of her that they maliciously abused or groped or assaulted, they couldn't face that, because now reality sets in. And you are coming face to face with the consequences of your actions, even though right now you're not responsible because it's within that time frame. But you are coming face to face with those actions. And for me, one of the biggest things that I have made it my mission to do in everything that I do is to do my best to understand the results of my actions, to understand the consequences, to understand the impressions that I may leave on someone's life. And if I have the capability of causing destruction, which I have, then no one else is exempt from that. No one. Not even the person who thinks that they are the best person in the world. No one is exempt from that. And that is a very hard and large pill to swallow. It really is. Because at that point now we're talking about accountability. We're talking about responsibility. And a lot of people, they run away from those words. They don't like those words. Because those words, they hurt. They really hurt. But understanding the gravity of those words is what's going to allow us to understand who we are and to also understand what we're capable of. Because in many instances, all we need is a little permission. And when we have that permission, there are things that we are potentially capable of that we didn't even know. But it is our job to understand those things about us. It is our job to get to the root of who we are. So that way, we can be full and whole humans. So with that being said, y'all, I want to truly just impress upon you the fact that, again, we are all responsible for our actions. We are all responsible for the things that we do, the things that we say. We have to understand that when it comes to being accountable and it comes to being responsible, even though those words hurt, they are necessary. Because if we don't take responsibility for who we are and what we do, especially to others, then we will find ourselves destroying so much more than what we're capable of building. And so, as you go forth and you live your life, always make sure to keep that in mind, because that is going to keep you level. It's going to keep you in a headspace where you consider all aspects of yourself before you do something. And hopefully you can be one of the people who actually tries to inspire true change and inspire the building of everyone, including yourself. That's what I'm trying to do. And that is going to be my goal, because I know that I'm capable of so much, but I don't want that capability to be rooted in destruction. So with that being said, y'all, that's our show. I really hope that you enjoyed the show. I do appreciate you for listening. And, you know where to find us. You know how to support us. If your podcast app gives you the opportunity to leave us a 5-star review, please do so. That truly, truly means a lot. So also, if you want to take this conversation outside the episode, take it to our throne room. Links, as always, are in the description. Wherever you are, whoever you are, I want to always encourage you to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourself. Know who you are, trust in who you are, and love who you are. Again, I've been your host, Rashawn. This has been another episode of TARODCAST. I thank you so much for listening. I send all the love your way, and I hope that this episode gets you thinking. I really do. I hope that it gets you thinking. And as you're thinking, make sure that you make every effort to find and keep your peace. Till next time.